The sun had not yet risen over the ancient city of Merv when a sharp knock echoed at the door. Inside, a man paused his writing. His name was Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak. Ink stained his fingers, and the words of the Prophet lay unfinished on the page before him. He opened the door to find one of his students, breathless and wide-eyed with excitement. "Teacher," the young man said, "the people are gathering. Scholars, merchants, even the governor, they are all waiting to hear you teach." Ibn al-Mubarak, a man whose name was spoken with reverence across the Muslim world, simply lowered his gaze. "Let them wait," he said softly. "Allah is watching whether I rush to people or to him." He gently closed the door and returned to his prayer. In those days, Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak was a living legend. He was a master of hadith, an intrepid traveler for knowledge, an honest and successful merchant, and a brave warrior who defended the borders. People called him Imam Shaykh, the role model of his time. But whenever he heard these grand titles, his heart would tremble. What if they praise something that Allah rejects? He often thought to himself, his humility was profound. If someone complimented him, he wouldn't puff up with pride. Instead, he would reply with sincerity, "Please, make a prayer that Allah hides my faults. Because if you truly knew them, you would not want to sit with me." He saw himself not as the world saw him, but as a servant, always in need of his Lord's forgiveness. One year, Ibn al-Mubarak prepared for the most sacred journey, the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca. His bags were packed, his companions were many, and his intention was pure. The caravan set out, the air filled with the sounds of praise and anticipation for reaching the holy city. But along the long road, in a small, forgotten town, something stopped him in his tracks. He saw a woman huddled near a pile of garbage. Her clothes were tattered, her face thin with hunger. In her hands, she clutched a dead bird. Ibn al-Mubarak approached her gently, his heart heavy. "Fear Allah," he advised her kindly. "What you are holding is not permissible to eat." Tears welled up in her eyes, and her voice cracked as she spoke. "Oh, servant of Allah," she replied, "my husband has passed away. My children and I have not eaten for days. Hunger has left us with no other choice." Her words struck his heart with more force than any sermon he had ever heard. The reality of her struggle overshadowed his own spiritual journey. Without a moment's hesitation, Ibn al-Mubarak reached into his bag, took out all the money he had saved for his entire Hajj, and placed it into her hands. His companions were stunned. "All of it?" One of them asked in disbelief. "You will miss the Hajj." "Yes, all of it," he answered calmly, his gaze firm. "Helping her is more beloved to Allah than my journey." And with that, he turned his caravan around. No Hajj, no circling the Kaaba, no recognition from the crowds. There was only a hidden act of sincerity between him and his Creator. That very same year, while hundreds of thousands of pilgrims performed their rituals in Mecca, a righteous man there had a remarkable dream. He saw angels descending from the heavens, writing in a golden book. "What are you writing?" the man asked them in his dream. "We are writing the names of those whose Hajj has been accepted by Allah," the angels replied. "How many are there?" he asked, filled with awe. "One," they said. "Only one. Who could it be? Who is the one person whose pilgrimage was so perfect that it was the only one accepted?" The angels gave a surprising answer. Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, even though he never reached Mecca. When the news of this dream eventually traveled back and reached Ibn al-Mubarak, he didn't smile or feel proud. He broke down and wept. "If this is true," he whispered through his tears, "it is only because of Allah's infinite mercy, not because of anything I have done." This was the essence of his life. Though he was one of the most famous men of his era, he lived like an unknown servant. He spent his nights in prayer, his beard soaked with tears, but by morning, he would wash his face so that no one could see any trace of his devotion. He secretly supported widows and orphans who never even knew his name. He would silently pay off the debts of strangers in his community, seeking no thanks, no recognition. When someone once asked him why he went to such great lengths to hide his good deeds, his answer was a lesson for all time. He replied, "What is done for Allah should remain a secret between me and him." Years passed, and the time came for this great scholar to leave the world. As he lay on his deathbed, his students gathered around him, heartbroken. They expected to hear final words of wisdom, reassurances of his high station, and the calm confidence of a man certain of paradise. Instead, they heard him whispering, his voice faint, "O Allah, forgive me. O Allah, have mercy on me." One of his students, unable to reconcile the man's lifelong piety with his apparent fear, gently asked, "Teacher, after everything you have done, all the knowledge you've spread, all the good you've given, do you still fear this moment?" Ibn al-Mubarak opened his eyes one last time. His gaze was clear, his voice filled with a profound truth. He replied, And how can I possibly feel safe when I have not yet stood before him? With those words, his soul returned to its creator. The entire city mourned his passing. Scholars wept for the light of knowledge that had been extinguished. The poor prayed for the anonymous benefactor they had lost.